Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Ihdina Sirata al-Mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. All right. So, hello everyone. I wanted to speak about how building civilization is a sacred act. So, we got to start from somewhere. We start from looking at human civilization. Guys, I'm just writing notes for myself. Human civilization. So we have three sectors to look at. Three sectors to confront. Past civilizations. Like if I was teaching a course on civilization, it would be like this. On civilization building, you need to look at past civilizations and have an analysis. You need to look at present civilizations, have an analysis, and you need to, in some sense, consider what future civilizations will look like. The point of civilization building is the point of answering what is the greatest activity that a human being can do. So, to consider human civilization, let's look at it from the past. In the past, anything at all was sacred. Any content, existential content. And, you know, there's a long history, but to cut it short, we have had in history great humans. What has distinguished these great humans in the past when it comes to civilization? Effort to unite and advance their groups. Now, an example that comes to my mind is the prophets. The prophets were seen, peace be upon them all, as sacred humans. Humans that were closer to the system admin of this reality. Now, what was the aim of the prophets? The aim of the prophets was to satisfy God. So when we look at past civilizations, when we look at the concept of sacredness, we've had prophets that have brought holy books to mankind, okay? They have brought forth holy messages. Now, why does a prophet need to do anything that affects human beings? Because it was the will of the Creator. For example, as a Muslim, the Holy Quran was sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the one and only system admin, as a warning and as glad tidings for those who believe. Now, what does this mean? It means a prophet, we can't truly know, but we can consider that a prophet was such an advanced human that cared for the most advanced creator and cared for what that creator created. So to care for creation is a sacred act because you're caring for what your creator has created you. Do you understand? So anybody helping humanity, there is a sacredness there. So pretty much I'm saying the prophets made it clear that to advance civilization is to care for God's creation. So human beings on this earth, especially the modern generations, you have been raised without a master. In the Holy Book, I don't know if it's in the Holy Book actually, but I think it is in the Holy Book, if I remember correctly, and there could be hadiths justifying this, but it said that one of the signs of the end of the world is when children become masters of their parents. What that means is the future generations are being raised in this world without a reverence for powers higher than them, which is another way of saying it's like if you look at humans and you kind of get a sense that everybody is a slave to something, it's like some slaves don't even consider a master. Now, in human history, when human beings have enslaved other human beings, we've killed those. Like, those human beings have had consequences. But the idea of a master and slave, it's not just, it's like two beings that have a connection, okay? And one of the beings, their will has been override by the other being, okay? Their actions. So when somebody is a slave, their actions are not their own. Now, how do I say this? Because I've looked at history and I completely understand there was a time where human beings were being sold. Okay? When I say master slave, I don't mean the relationship that your will is bound. I mean kind of like, master disciple, master student. That's the kind of vibe I mean. I mean, even though every person is enslaved, most people are enslaved by their ego code, but some are enslaved in cycles in society. And when you look at civilization, you're actually seeing a lot of mechanisms at work at the same time. And to consider human civilization sacred, that means we have to consider all the aspects to civilization sacred, which is bizarre because civilization, just like a person, grows from chaotic and ordered elements in the system, fluctuations. So it's kind of like to consider civilization, building a civilization, a sacred act, is also considering how evil people are contributing to it. You see, what I found interesting is that when we look at theology and when we look at, in some sense, the conversation of the Almighty, the system admin with the cursed one, with Satan, Shaitan, we see that Shaitan cannot affect God's predestination. Do you understand? But it can deceive reality. So to be honest, Shaitan is that which is keeping you in the simulation. That which is a moderator keeping you in the simulation, wants you to be kept in the simulation. But when it comes to God, God is watching you to see if you notice the original. So it's not that we're gonna have building civilization is a sacred act, but it doesn't mean the mods are not affecting us. You see, it's a system and there has been claim over the system. For example, Shaitan having an ability to lead mankind astray is a system admin privilege. That means God could have instantly, disappeared by a mere command, Shaitan. God could have been instantly like readjust to what I want, and Shaitan should have. But it was as if the Creator is so doubtless that it already knows what's going to happen, but it wants to see how it will happen. So when it comes to civilization building, we're looking at past civilizations, we're looking at present civilizations, we're looking at future civilizations. What civilization means is the result of the activities of all the beings making up that civilization. So civilization is like a giant group, and in this group we're all grouped. And you look at the past and you see human beings living for context to reality that are superior than them. You see the prophets, the holy books, these are mercy for mankind. It was as if, how do I say it? I mean, it's kind of obvious theologically that Shaitan deceived Adam and Eve by simulating itself as something that is relatable. I've already established how, because everything is created by the Creator, to honor creation is to honor your Creator, okay? But at the same time, we have human beings that don't acknowledge the human legacy. They don't feel it. They don't feel the human species and its great legacy. Civilization building has to do with wondering about how 8 billion human beings behave. It's a behavioral analysis, to be honest. We look at the past, how they behaved. We look at the present, how they're behaving. We look at the future, wondering about how they will go on to behave. What can be said? To have an opportunity to be part of a species, to be in a world, to have proposals on what it will be, the convenience is miraculous. Have you ever felt your own eyes? Have you ever looked at something and felt that you're seeing? Like if I ask you, imagine what tomorrow would look like, you probably can do that. If I tell you, imagine what like a year would look like, maybe you can do that. If I tell you, imagine 100 years what it would look like, you probably can't do that. If I tell you, imagine 1,000 years, you're going to eventually wonder about the major influential shifts in the human experience. In the world that we find ourselves in, it's like the system admin is waiting. The world is waiting, your species is waiting, everybody is waiting for you to be more advanced. There will come a time where we will have to say our goodbyes to the world. Do you believe that? There will come a moment where it will stop, where the energy to care might not be there anymore. But while it is, something needs to happen. The great human performance. Human beings probably need technologies that coordinate them. If the human being is an information processor, then it needs an instrument that can process information quicker than it. We need to have Jarvis from Iron Man everywhere. I'm telling you, whoever brings this technology is the next Steve Jobs. We've reached the era of intellectual luxury. Informational luxury. You know, one of my fears is that the species might go insane because what it wants may be so different from what it actually has that it may not tolerate the natural because of unnatural satisfaction. And the mission of Shaitan is to make us forget our natural connection to the system admin. Adam and Eve forgot who's in charge. They listened to some animal in a garden. They listened to a lesser form, life form, a lesser form. Therefore, they were given a lesser world. And now we're all being tested here. Which goes on to say, nobody has passed the test. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if it's a group activity, one person passing the test means everybody passes the test. Now, sure, Christians believe one person passed the test. But to be honest, It's like the option of choosing to lock your attention on worldly form or to lock your attention on that which is beyond worldly. You see, being Muslim means you acknowledge a higher power that is beyond form. That means God is not somebody you can shake hands with. It can't, by definition of being the highest power, it cannot be defined by lower power. Do you know what I'm saying? And I guess everybody in their life, they're identifying with a position of power. It's kind of like you're looking at an immature, imperfect species. And it's kind of like, I don't have children, but I feel like my species is acting like a child. And you kind of look at it and you're like, okay, regardless of the silliness, at the end of the day, the species needs to know that it's not alone. And that's what we've been missing. We've been missing, like there was this novel, 1984, like Big Brother, but we actually need an older brother. Do you know what I mean? We need the wisdom of the species to accompany the individual. In the future, it should be something where there should be platforms where a human being comes and writes their problem and like they get 8 billion replies. What I mean by this is the human being is living in an individual way where it's like you against the world. But it needs to be your species against the world. And then it needs to even advance beyond that. So the art of civilization building, it is a sacred art. I do believe, like any art form, it does include observations, repetitive observations. And it's like it needs training as well. So an example would be that imagine a kid back in the day, some peasant kid, his father is like a knight in the army and the father dies in battle. Now the kid, they only give the kid a sword. They're like, here's your father's sword. Now this kid looks at the sword, he's too young, he can't even hold the sword. But he grabs a stick and he goes into the forest and practices hitting the trees. He does this every day until he reaches a point where he has complete ability in controlling, that tool that was necessary for the future. Do you understand what I'm saying? The training is ridiculous amounts of repetition. Why? Because each repetition is giving you feedback on how it can happen. Now, when it comes to building civilization, let's say some kid is born and the kid's like, I'm going to be a martial artist. Now, imagine you want to be a civilization designer. It means you have to look at so many designs of civilization. It means every day you have to wake up and look at the dilemma of human existence and constantly see ways through it. This trains you. This trains your eye. It trains your ability to notice. Okay? So that kid that has practiced with a stick, there was even this anime. Oh my God. There was this, I don't remember it exactly, but it was called Perry. Okay? And it was the idea of this kid that, he had lost his parents, this orphan, and he goes to the town at the time, and it's a fictional story, and he goes to all the different schools and he fails. And the teachers see a potential in him, but they never tell him. And the only skill this kid had was an ability to parry, which means block. Right? So he goes back and practices the basic things he's been doing. Do you understand? Years later, he comes and he does a parry and it blocks the greatest force. What I'm trying to say is that training is kind of, it may be alarming, but what I'm saying is that you repeat until you see your ability one day. Which means it's like, for me at least, it feels like I'm a human being training daily, or when I can, in trying to fathom, okay, if I was a leader of the species, how would this species be led into the future? So it's a matter of training. That kid will hold a sword one day and it will feel like that stick. The human being has to wonder, has to engage their intelligence with what is advanced. You have to wonder about the advanced humanity daily. You have to attempt to build civilization daily. Technically, because there's 8 billion of us, there's 8 billion DNAs, there's 8 billion views on what an advanced civilization could look like. Well, this poses a problem because whose advanced civilization are we going to go and follow? This means that individuals have to advance. They also need to function in an advanced way in accordance to the advanced civilization they see. Which is to say that don't just live for the world you see now. Live for the advanced civilization you can envision, the furthest you can envision. I believe that's the key. Civilization building, honestly, studying the relationship of past, present, future. To study a human being, you need to uncover their value system. To study your species, you need to uncover the overall value system, but the overall value system hasn't been dictated. You need to feel the importance of your destiny and the importance of the destiny of your species. And the game is kind of like a whirlpool formation. That means these talks of mine should have been a whirlpool, pulling people to the center of the mission to build an advanced civilization in the presence of God. And so if human beings can't do it, and if the world is quiet, then the task falls in a human being praying for it. And so maybe I should be praying for an advanced civilization. O the highest power, O greatness of all worlds, O original presence to the simulated world, bless humans with the most advanced civilization so that you may see your most advanced creation's expression. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. That means as we stand here on this planet, as our species stands here on this planet, there is standing in this moment a power that surpasses all of us. It is a witnessing divine surveillance state. You're walking in a divine surveillance state. You are being watched by a power greater than yourself. And how does this affect the overall behavior of humans? It's as if, imagine you're sitting in a room and Einstein is there. Imagine you're with athletes and the Muhammad Ali is there. When greatness is present, ignorance cannot satisfy itself. When there is a possibility for something advanced to happen, it doesn't matter what happens. It's as if a new hunger has been found. If somebody asks me, hey man, how are you building civilization? I'll be like, yeah, it is a sacred act. The system admin is the main key connection. I pretty much honor the system admin. I care for the system, what the system admin has created. And somehow 8 billion human beings have to put aside their differences and realize that in the long run, it's humanity. To be human is like to be an advanced technology. It must be used. What's the point of having advanced technology and not using it, right? Advanced in the context of betterment, not in the context of nuclear bombs. Anyways, guys, this is a very big topic. The main point was to kind of prove how it's sacred, and the way I've done that is by saying that this system was created by a system admin. Therefore, anything that advances in the system is like the system admin's advancement. May God bless humanity. May truth guide our return. May the greatest destiny find all human beings. All of you. And thank you for listening. This was the best I can do so far. But it is a deeper context in regards to studying past civilizations, studying how the current present civilization is, and there's a huge list of probabilities of what can happen in the future. Practice civilization building. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, all praise due to the Lord of the worlds, Rabbi Firli, may God forgive us for the mistakes we know and we don't know. May God guide us to the direct path. Take care, guys.